everyone, I'll be talking about if cereal causes cancer. I never heard about this before this video, nor the arguments used to support that claim, but it's provocative, so I want to talk about it. So let's get into it.
Cereal causes cancer. I'm talking Fruity Pebbles, Trix, Frosted Flakes, and yes, everyone's favorite, Lucky Charms. So all four of those cereals contain red dye 40. Red dye 40 is a synthetic color additive made from petroleum. This is petroleum. It's oil. Oil, the shit you put in your car.
First things first, let's go over red dye 40. Yeah, it's true that it's a synthetic color additive made from petroleum. Synthetic color additives are used way more than natural ones because it's cheaper, visually appealing, it doesn't produce any nasty flavor. Red dye 40 is one of 9 certified color additives after going through the FDA certification process. It's considered low risk and doesn't present health risks for people of all ages. I believe this is the case because dosage matters. It has an acceptable daily intake of 3.2 milligrams per pound of body weight, which for example could be 476 milligrams for a 150 pound person. In cereal, I saw the highest of them being 36.4 milligrams for Trix cereal and 31 milligrams for Fruity Cheerios. That's per serving and well below the daily intake. Unless you're downing several boxes of cereal, you should be fine. That is if the high sugars, saturated fats, and sodium doesn't hurt you first. The risks I've seen are allergies and it being implicated for worsening ADHD in some children. I mean, yeah, avoid things you're allergic to. If you're going to avoid foods and drinks in general that have red dye 40, that's fine because it's often used in food that are high in sugar. I have no problem with encouraging people to eat healthier. I didn't see anything about cereal causing cancer due to petroleum, but when I searched it up on Google, since you're using Google, I saw an article mentioning while there's no definitive proof glyphosate levels in cereal causes cancer, research may be needed. Basically, grain-based cereals and products contain a small amount of herbicide called glyphosate, which is a weed killer. Health experts are still debating whether or not it's carcinogenic, so if you want to argue from there, sure, but I found nothing about petroleum. For now, it seems as if you're using the word petroleum oil to do the heavy lifting for your argument. It's scary for a layman because they're thinking, oh well, I don't want to consume motor oil, without knowing petroleum or crude oil is a naturally occurring liquid mixture of mainly hydrocarbons. It occurs when large amounts of dead organisms, mainly zooplankton and algae, are buried underneath sedimentary rock and exposed to heat and pressure. Petroleum can be used for many things, such as fuel, or in this case, used to make synthetic color additives. This is important because people don't put petroleum itself into cars, it has to be refined into the fuel we use. It's not as scary as you think. Now if you want to make the argument that we shouldn't use petroleum at all because of climate change, sure, you can do that. I'd even agree with you there, but saying that food additives come from petroleum, therefore cancer, I disagree.
Someone has to explain why oil is in kids' cereal. And the side effects of a large intake of red dye 40 is upset stomach, migraines, jitterness, nervousness, and inability to concentrate. And also red dye 40 causes cancer.
The source you listed used the research on the effects of red dye 40 on certain children with ADHD, which made about 8% of them worse. Also, that source said after a high intake of red dye 40, which I'm assuming is well above the recommended daily intake, will produce those side effects. Your source doesn't mention what that amount is or if the other agreements that come in contact with that dangerous high intake will cause problems too. I'm pretty sure any unspecified high amounts would cause harm, so that's a weird claim to make. I'm not sure how reputable a source Amen Clinics is, but it seems as if they're not wrong by technicality, but still a weird point. About the CSPI, which is a nonprofit organization standing for Center for Science in the Public Interest, that released a report stating red dye 40 poses a rainbow of risks, including allergies and cancer. I mentioned allergies, so now about cancer. The research says that many dyes were banned by the FDA due to health and carcinogenic concerns. However, it doesn't say anything about red dye 40 being linked to cancer. Out of the certified food additives approved by the FDA, blue 1 and 2, green 3, orange B, red 2, 3, and 40, and yellow 5 and 6, only red 2 and 3 and yellow 5 seem to pose risks, according to the research. However, it doesn't say anything about red dye 40 causing cancer. I'll link the research in the description, but it doesn't say red dye 40 causes cancer, just that it can produce allergies. Each batch of the approved dyes go through the FDA certification process. Even if the dyes have adverse effects at a certain dosage, it seems limited dosage makes it safe. Even a scientific source that says yellow 5 has a genotoxic impact on cells says that the dyes must be used in limited dosage. Going back to Amen Clinics, I think it's a little deceptive to just mention food additive dyes can cause cancer when talking about red dye 40. It's why I'm sort of wary about him using this source because it seems to have a bias. It allows people like the guy I'm responding to use this information for an incorrect claim. Once again, if you want to avoid foods and drinks with red dye 40, I'm all for it because you will avoid typically high sugar foods and might be picking up a more healthy diet. To go back to the person in the video, dosage matters. As long as you're not consuming excessive amounts of red dye 40, you're okay.
That's why it's banned in certain countries, like Japan. Stay safe out here.
Japan approves red 40 for use, so that's wrong. You were using Google a minute ago, why stop now? Countries can ban things for whatever reason, so I don't think that proves anything. Some countries approve red dye 40 and others don't. I think it's best to go by the research, if there's any proof that causes cancer or not. At the moment, there's no proof of that, or at least no proof at the dosage levels allowed for consumption. Enjoy your cereal, or if you prefer a cooked breakfast, do that. It's up to you. Once again, no ill will towards the person. I thought this would be a fun research exercise, and I learned a lot. Anyways, I gotta go. Be nice to one another and take care of yourselves.